Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Brad Clark, who is a business coach with ActionCOACH. Brad, welcome to the program.
Hey, Mike, thanks for the offer. I really appreciate this.
You're welcome. I always love talking to people in the industry because everybody brings their own perspectives. You know, you can do a certain thing and feel like it's commoditized, but it's really not because you're bringing your life experience, your perspectives, your energy, your enthusiasm. So give us a little bit of a background on yourself and then what led you to become a business coach, because that is such a critical thing these days to help, shore up the economy in reality, because entrepreneurialism is such a massive part for economic growth.
It certainly is, Mike, and I think it's going to increasingly go that way. The majority of the economy is run by small business owners. So on me, it's really kind of an interesting background story. I graduated from Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Texas, with a degree in laboratory medicine. You're thinking, well, how does laboratory medicine?
Yeah, that leads right into business coaching. Yeah.
Right. So it's been kind of a little bit of a weird journey, but I spent the first 4 years of my career working in clinical laboratories or reference laboratories doing specialized testing, and just quickly realized that it just wasn't for me. It was not. I didn't have the interaction with people I wanted. I didn't have the ability to be creative and use that side of my brain. So I got into leadership. I just kind of fell into a leadership position early on, and I think I was about 28 years old. Was thrust into a leadership position at the American Red Cross, of all places, managing a team of 50, and really found a passion for leadership. I really found a passion for, leading and mentoring teams and watching and fostering growth. And so from there, I moved into a sales career. I was in the medical arena for a number of years, selling large pieces of capital equipment, and then have the opportunity to do some leadership on a national scale and then a regional scale, building out sales teams across the South U.S. And, it just really, really became a passion for me to recruit and build these teams and foster and mentor their growth and see their growth as a direct result of things that I had input into. And so that was the great side of that industry. I guess the bad side of that industry is that it's very, very volatile. And went through a handful of, company buyouts and layoffs, reductions in force. Really got to a point where I didn't feel I was making an impact anymore. And so took some time off and did some research and really just stumbled into this model that is business coaching, and call it stumbling into it. I call it divine intervention. I think God put me in the right place, right time, and did some checking around and found out that if you're going to do this sort of a thing, then Action Coach is the people you need to be associated with. And so joined Action about 3.5 years ago, and it's been can't say it's been the easiest thing in the world I've ever done, but it's definitely been the most rewarding.
Here's an observation that I'm sure is really clear to you, but as you were describing that, it just pops into my mind. You didn't go to college and major in business coaching, right? Because I don't even think that's a thing. You had your storied, successful past and then decided, when I want to get into coaching, what should I do? No, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and wing it on my own and Google around. No. You chose a program that has tried and true and proven systems and strategies with ActionCOACH. Well, shouldn't your clients, your prospects do the exact same thing? Shouldn't entrepreneurs, business owners, or people that you may help go, you know what, I do need some help with fill in the blank. So should I go ahead and Google around? No. Find someone that's been there, done that, has the literal proven path and guarantee to work well together and really shortcut all that. So how does that mentality play into even how you explain what you can do to people in your area?
Well, it's a great question, Mike, and the interesting thing I've come to learn about America as a whole and higher education within America, even elementary, middle school, and secondary education, is the educational system in this country really hasn't changed much in the 200-year history of this country. The technology's changed. the things we learn about change, but the fundamental core of what is being educated on really hasn't changed. And that is the educational system in America today is strategically geared towards educating and building the model employee. And, if you take a look at most degree plans that you're going to go into college, mine is a perfect example. I have a degree in laboratory medicine. I was geared to be a good laboratory scientist. I was not geared to be a business owner. I was not even geared to own a laboratory. Didn't even learn that stuff. And so that's really where we find the biggest of the deficiencies in small business in America today, and why there's such a strikingly high rate of failure among small businesses, is the fact that there was no formal education on how to run the business. And so these entrepreneurs and vision-oriented people go into a business, and they're really, really good at the tech aspect of their business, and really, really poor at the growth aspect or just the basic day-to-day running of the business. And so, it boils down to who needs help and who wants a coach and who needs a coach. And the short answer to that question for me is anybody, everybody. Everybody that's not comfortable with the status quo needs help. If you look at most athletes, Michael Jordan in particular, and I love Michael Jordan. His entire career was an inspiration, but he had a coach. Not only did he have a basketball coach, but he had a personal life and mentorship coach. That gentleman's name was Tim Grover, and he wrote Relentless, a fantastic book. But you look at elite athletes. Elite athletes don't get to be a leader. Even successful athletes don't get to be where they are without a coach. And, why is business any different? In fact, I would say that business is even harder because you are your own everything. You're on an island. You're isolated. And somebody once told me that business ownership is probably the loneliest job in the world. And they're right. It is, because you're on your own. And you're on your own, and you're not educated to do the fundamentals well. And so that's where we come in. And we've been doing this for 25 years. We are the world's largest coaching firm. We have 25 years worth of proven strategies. This is not the intangible. This is not the feel-good, rah-rah, kind of voodoo science, so to speak. We have practical and actionable strategies to propel your business forward. So in a nutshell, when asked who needs a coach, and I get asked often, I'd say if you're in business and you want to grow, you absolutely do need a coach.
You bring up a good point there about strategies versus tactics, because there are some coaching methodologies, maybe you might call it, where you get together by phone in person and just kind of chat and talk about some great things and good strategies, and we'll do that, and then it never gets done. And maybe there's even some accountabilities, but it's really no teeth. It doesn't have any teeth because there's no tactics. So I like how you combine the strategies with tactics so that you can say, we've been there, done that. Here's exactly what you need to do moving forward. Step 1. And step 2, and then you're there alongside them, you're talking strategy, but it's almost like you are doing a disservice to a business if you just say, here's some great things you oughta, coulda, woulda, shoulda done, and then you don't tell them what specifically to do.
Yeah, you're right. So it's funny, a lot of my clients find it interesting and are surprised when I tell them I have a coach. And it's just that basic principle of preach what you preach, and what kind of credibility would I have selling business coaching if I'm a business owner myself and I didn't have a coach?
Yeah.
But one of my coaches one time told me, kind of coined what you just described to me as business therapy. And that's where we set ourselves apart. Is business therapy is just that. It's sitting down and strategizing. It's coming up with a lot of great ideas and great things you can do, and then providing this list to your client, and then coming back the next week to find out nothing was ever done.
Yeah. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I'm sure that you were busy, and it's not your fault. And let's see what you can do next week. And then it's never like, let's just do this. Here's the first step, and here's how easy it could be. Let me show you, or here's exactly the case study of how to get this done. So that's a really good analogy as well.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's what sets us apart is that we have the ability, because of the 25 years of experience, and because of the global presence that we have, and the collective knowledge that we have, and I believe I listened to your interview with our founder and CEO Brad Sugars on your website, and Brad is quite honestly one of the most brilliant individuals I've ever met in my life, and him combined with the team he's put together, we have those practical and actionable strategies that we can implement to propel businesses forward and propel them forward at a faster rate with a greater sense of certainty than they can do it on their own. And I think that's what sets us aside from other coaching firms out there. Not that there aren't quality coaching firms out there, but they don't have the breadth of knowledge that we do, and they don't have the 25 years worth of experience and the tactics and the strategies and the tools that we have.
And what's the number? I forget the number right off. The number 87 sticks in my mind, but how many specific tactics do you have at your disposal that you can pull from and draw from?
Oh, boy. I lose count because we're adding them all the time, but I can tell you one of the things we focused on very, very early on in the coaching relationship is the finances of the business. You know, the number of leads that are coming in the business, the how many of those leads are being converted to paying customers, how many of those paying customers buy more than once. What is the average sale that you're doing, and then how good are your margin percentages? And so we focus very heavily in the initial weeks of coaching on those 5 areas and finding efficiencies in those 5 areas. In order to provide some quick wins for the client, in order to provide some quick cash back in their pocket, and in order to bolster the relationship between the coach and the client, because let's say that coaching isn't cheap. And so we want to be able to quickly establish that credibility and establish that trust. So in those 5 areas alone, we have north of 350 strategies that can impact those 5 areas alone. Once you get into the building of the business that will work without you, I've lost count, Mike. It's over 1,000.
Well, the reason that I bring that up is super important in this respect. I'll bet you if you put together all of, like a checklist PDF, it'd be like a 48-page PDF with bullet. And here you go, business owner. Here's from our 25 years experience. Here you go. And they would stare at that like they wouldn't even know what in the world it was. So the benefit is you are coming in with that outside perspective, third-party perspective. You're analyzing where needs are, and you're selecting one tactic from this section and another tactic from here, and you're pulling them out going, okay, here's what we need here. And it's kind of like, you're staring at the bookcase going, let's see, where's that? Okay, here it is right here. And I think that's the true power, one of the true powers of what you provide, because you see things the business owner can't, and you're not overwhelming them. And there's so many times that I have not downloaded something or watched a webinar because it was like, learn the 312 weight. And I'm like, I don't know. I want like 3, but I don't want to feel overwhelmed because I know I'm never going to do that. So how do you explain to a business owner, okay, once you've decided maybe coaching might be for me, what is that kind of come alongside you with my arms around your shoulder kind of a thing going, you're not alone, and I've got the expertise to pull out and point out what we need to work on next and work on it with you?
Yeah. Well, I chuckle there because you what you're describing there with the 48 pages worth of tools and strategies, that you're probably right. It probably would be somewhere along there. And that perfectly described the mindset I was in when I went through my induction and licensure training. Basically, you've heard the phrase "drinking from a fire hose."
Yeah.
This was more like opening a spigot at the Hoover Dam, and it was really kind of daunting. So that's kind of what we're exposed to as coaches when we get certified and licensed. The interesting thing and the really unique thing about Action Coach is because we have all those strategies, because we've been doing this for 25 years, we're really able to meet any business owner where they currently are. And that's the important part of it. It's not a one-size-fits-all, shove a square peg into a round hole kind of a situation. It really is about assessing at a very granular detail where that business owner is at that particular moment, both in their business, both in their business education, their mental mind, their mindset, their confidence level, their frustration levels, assessing and knowing where they are at that given time, and then putting together a growth strategy that makes sense for them. And so we're able to pull from those strategies, knowing that we've got the tools there, and put together a program that meets them where they are and puts them on the road where they want to go. But that's all part of the initial, and for lack of a better term, vetting process that we go through before we bring a client on board. And there's specific steps that we take and specific criteria, at least for me, that I have to satisfy before I'll bring a client on board. And I've turned clients away just because, this is a relationship-based business. It is very much a reputation-based business, and I don't have the luxury or leisure to have an impact to my reputation. So there's been instances where I knew I couldn't help somebody that I've not brought them on board.
Yeah.
You simply point them in another direction to get the help that they need. So, but it really is all about getting to know the client and understanding where they are, so that you can meet them where they are and not try to shove that square peg into the round hole.
Yeah. So I know that you said, well, anyone could need coaching. And while that is a true statement, I want to quantify that by saying I'm sure part of some of your teaching is, let's talk about target audience, and your target audience needs to be well defined. So do you personally in your practice have a specific target niche that you tend to work best with? Like, I work with people that are in the whatever industry because you're drawing from your experience, or does that matter at all?
Oh no, it definitely matters. And I learned very quickly. So it's a lot of the experience of myself as a business owner is by trial and error. And what we try to prevent for our clients is that trial and error, and provide them a greater certainty of success by employing a coach. But most definitely, it makes a difference. And I could answer that very quickly by telling you that give you a very broad answer. But I wouldn't be a very good coach if I did that. So, I mean, the target audience for me
practicing what you preach.
Yeah, no kidding. Practice what you preach. So, for me, I have in the last 3 years worked very, very well with professional services and those folks that are in the trades, HVAC, plumbers, construction folks, electricians, And it's interesting, Mike, that's the group that I've kind of gravitated towards because I can't fix a thing. I am the guy that will tear everything up and then have to hire somebody to come out and fix it.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know. I've never been handy. I just wasn't one of those things I was blessed with. But those folks in those industries are such hardworking people, and they are such open and honest people. They understand at a very detailed level what they don't know. And they understand at a very detailed level what they need to get better at, and they seek that help out. And perhaps that's why I've kind of been gravitated to those folks, because they actively seek those folks out.
Well, one thing that I was just going to say about that is, you think about a plumber or HVAC, like you were mentioning, you go get certified, you get licensed, you get trained to do that, and you go out there on the road and you fix the stuff and you get your customers, and that's wonderful. But probably nowhere in their training is, here's how to build a business, here's how to market your business. Yeah. Whereas some industries, like, maybe attorney or whatever, maybe there's going to be a couple courses here or there, which is still nowhere near enough. But I would venture to say that your level of coaching and guidance would be so well received in these industries and the trades, because it's kind of like they've got the momentum going. When you implement that first and that second tactic, it's going to just take off like wildfire because it's so fresh and they're open and eager.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you hit it on the nail on the head right there. They're open and eager. Some of that I mentioned to you that there are certain criteria I want to satisfy before agreeing to bring a client on board. And one of those is to understand that I can help them reach their goals quicker than they could do it on their own. Because if that is not satisfied, then there's really no need to have me. And when having conversations with these folks that are in the trades or in professional services, it's very rare that I encounter somebody that is not completely open to suggestion and completely open to new ideas and putting the work in behind it. I mean, these guys are working 60, 80 hours a week, and it tends to be pretty easy to find efficiencies in their business early on that lets them maybe reduce that by 5 hours or so a week. And then they're open to that, and then they don't mind putting in the work and they don't mind the learning. I think that I've enjoyed working with that segment of folks just because they're enthusiastic and it's not like trying to drag the horse to the water. It's like they're dragging you along with them.
Well, it's kind of like if you think about a train that's already left the station and you get those little switches and it just changes the track once they're got a head of steam. That's easy. But if you try to get that train going by pushing on it from a dead stop, forget about it. Well, if you get some businesses that are like, we want to hire you right now because we're going to start our launch tomorrow. Well, they don't have any momentum and it's not the right time. But you get a business that's up and running and they've got revenues, a nice number of revenues, and you now can go, okay, let's now look at this area where we can fill this hole in the bucket, and we can fill that hole in the bucket by doing this. You've got stuff to work with. And I think that's a really big realization as well. Yeah,
agreed. Yeah. And again, the powerful thing about Action Coaches, breadth of knowledge is we really can work with any business at any point, from the startups to the businesses that have been in business 3 to 5 years, or, the folks that have been in business or solopreneurs for 25 years. We have the ability to meet them where they're at. The scenario you described there, though, you really did hit it spot on, is that those businesses that have been around, 3 to 5 years, they have a handful of employees, they're maybe top end sales or maybe $500,000 or more, are really the ones that are positioned to really take the next step. The owners themselves have pretty much led the company to the point where they, they're out of ideas. They got the business to a point but basically to their own level of incompetence, and so they've gotten it to a point that now they don't know how to get to that next level, and that's where we come in, and that's where we have probably the quickest impact is in businesses that are of that nature.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, Brad, let's just wrap up with if someone is listening to this and thinking maybe what if Brad could look at my business to see what opportunities there could be, what's the best way they can reach out and connect with you?
Well, they can easily go to my website, and it's pretty simple. It's bradclark.actioncoach.com. They can email me. That's also simple, bradclark@actioncoach.com. Those are both the pretty easiest ways to get a hold of me. And typically the way this thing works is we just go grab a coffee or something or get on the phone and just kind of chat about what's going on.
Yeah.
And, if there's an opportunity there to dive into something a little deeper, then we schedule some follow-up calls and we dig a little deeper and we kind of just see how that conversation and relationship goes.
Excellent. Well, Brad, thank you so much for coming on. It was really great learning about your business and how that you make a difference in the lives of the entrepreneurs you work with.
Well, Mike, I really appreciate this opportunity to talk with you. I've enjoyed it very, very much, and thank you so much.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.